After a 2 beta test, MONGILSTARDIVE has finally locked in to release on this April 15. So if you are looking for a chill and enjoyable action RPG game, maybe you can give this one a try. MONGILSTARDIVE is a semi-open world monster taming gacha game that built on Unreal Engine 5 and it will be available on PC and mobile for now. The gameplay is simple and straightforward. Since it is a semi-open world game, so don't expect that you can jumping, climbing or flying to explore the world. But it has its own selling point that I like it so much, which is a very smooth character animation, stunning character design, cruise-gunable of course, monster taming gameplay, having a guaranteed gacha system, and an enjoyable quick swap battle mechanic. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the lore of MONGILSTARDIVE, its gameplay, gacha system, character design, and how gunable their character is. MONGILSTARDIVE has a very funny and lively story, along with some incredibly smooth and expressive character animation. Well, you will see exactly what I mean by how enjoyable the story is once you watch this clip.
Nim, 完了した。
そっちじゃないんだけど。
少し勘違いしただけだ。チョッピーからこのような不浄なものが出た。乱暴になったチョッピーからは例外なくこの種が見つかった。分析を要請する。
これ俺たちが持ってきたのと一緒じゃないか。
もう少し証拠が集まったら分析チームを呼びます。
今すぐ分析しなければならない。もっと大ごとになる前にだ。今伝えた話は全て事実だ。私の名誉にかけて。
しかし私たちにも手続きというものが。
私の名誉にはそこまでの価値はない。そう言いたいのか。
待って、少し落ち着こうよ。
下がれ。
こうやって騒ぐのも名誉を傷つける行為だと思うけど。
これなら報告するには十分じゃないですか。
はい、緊急案件として支部長に報告します。
本当に冒険者なのか？あの服装や言動、まるで騎士だな。
そうね。
As you can see, the story animation in this game is absolutely smooth and amazing. Especially their facial expression and voice acting are making the story so immersive, pulling you into the story so effectively that you will actually want to sit through every cutscene instead of reaching for the skip button. MONGILSTARDIVE's lore story is about the adventure of Cloud and Verna along with their mascot Nyanko. Together, they explore the world and solve various crises affecting monsters across every region. Cloud is a total monster maniac, while Verna is someone who lives for adventure and discovering new places. Both of them treat each other like siblings, although they are not blood related. Then there is Nyanko, a mysterious cat with the power to tame other monsters by swallowing their soul and pooping them out into a monster ring. But don't worry, because they will turn back to normal with just a bit of hot water. So basically, the story is very chill, but there are villains lurking around spreading corruption, causing monsters to go on rampage and threaten nearby villages or other monsters and the environment. Since Cloud is such a monster maniac, he does everything he can to save them and put an end to the villain scheme. But how exactly will the story unfold? Well, you can try the game to find out more. Although MONGILSTARDIVE is a fast-paced action game, its combat feels much simpler and relaxed, because the enemy attacks are slower and easier to read, and the timing for dodge counter is very wide. As long as you can see that yellow flash for the enemy special attack exists, you can trigger a dodge counter. It's called dodge counter because you simply need to press dodge button and the counter attack will automatically happen after you dodge the enemy special attack. Additionally, even when your character got knocked back by the enemy's heavy attack, you can dodge at the right time to flip back and performing an attack toward the enemy. But the best part of the combat has to be the quick swap mechanic. Feeling the quick swap energy for performing character intro skill or switch skill is much easier and faster. So you can quick swap so often that it even causes all three characters to show up on the field attacking the enemy simultaneously. The enemy in this game also features stun or stagger gauge. When the gauge is full, Nyanko will come to assist, allowing your character to perform burst skill and stagger the boss. This can reduce its defense and allow you to deal free hit for a short duration. While you can fill the stagger gauge by simply attacking or counter-attack the enemy, it can be more efficient to use a character with Destroyer role to charge it up. Meanwhile, assassins can deal more damage when performing burst skill to stagger enemy and dealing massive damage during the enemy's staggered duration. Additionally, you can also bring attackers as the main DPS or support to handle healing buff and debuff. Beside the character role, every character also deals different elemental damage, so you need to build your team carefully to exploit the enemy's weaknesses, especially since certain bosses require a specific element just to interrupt or cancel out their powerful charge attack. Moving on to the monster taming mechanic. Taming a monster is necessary for creating monster ring, which can be equipped to your character to boost their stats, and adding additional skill to summon monster during combat. Well, it is just like how you can summon Echo during battle in Wuthering Wave. However, in MONGILSTARDIVE, you cannot summon the Echo manually by pressing a button. Instead, you need to trigger a certain condition in order to summon them. In order to tame a monster, you just need to defeat them until their soul appears, and then let Nyanko handle the rest. Additionally, you can also get a new or higher rarity monster ring by combining the one you already have based on certain recipes. Besides that, you can also use them for racing in a minigame. Just make sure to pick the right monster based on the challenge of each track. Now, let's talk about the gacha system. MONGILSTARDIVE is made by Netmarble. Hearing that name probably enough to tell you that this game will have an aggressive monetization, right? But wait! From the second beta test, the 5-star drop rate on one of the banners was actually 5%, which is massive compared to other games that only have 0.7 or to 0.8%. Unfortunately, since that was a beta test, those rates might change for the final release. But the real good news is, from the recent developers' announcement, they are implementing a gacha system without the usual semi-PT system. This means there is no 50-50 chance to get the featured character. So if you have enough pool to get the 5-star character, you are 100% guaranteed to get the featured character on that banner. While for the weapon banner, the dev stated that players can aim for the one that they want. And they even added features to improve accessibility, though I'm not sure what the hell they are saying. Maybe it means that we can select which weapon we want to draw, like how Wuthering Wave does. Well, in summary, the character banner is guaranteed banner, so we should probably expect the 5-star drop rate to be very low. Meanwhile, the weapon banner will likely let us select our target and could also be a guaranteed system. As for the characters, you can already see that their design is very chibi kawaii. Everything from their either animation to their basic movement is absolutely adorable.
力が弱いと頭が疲労する。わかるか?
Additionally, if you are a fan of tsunderes, you are in luck because this game has plenty of them.
あんたたちの魔法、つまらない、弱い、ダサい。
Since the starting region, Elendor, follows a medieval European theme, the characters from there feels quite elegant. My favorite has to be Ophelia. She's the perfect mix of cute, clumsy, and tsundere, and definitely one of the highlights of the early game.
備えあれば憂いなしだな。
But the variety doesn't just stop there, because the dev also recently showcased Serenia Forest, a classic elven region that's full of elfins waifu, and Surah region, which seems to be inspired by Korean Joseon era. If you are a fan of traditional Korean fashion and character design, Surah is definitely a region you will want to reach as soon as possible. But the best part about their character design is that they actually wear a proper pantsuit. Not granny pantsuit, but a real one.
掃除
Not only that, some of the outfit also quite revealing, making the character looks very spicy. However, the big question is, will this design get censored at launch? Well, it's made by Korean developer, so obviously it will be safe, right? Not really, because recently Netmarble also released a game called 7 Deadly Sins, where their character wears a proper pantsuit on beta test, but were suddenly turned into a granny pantsuit upon the official release. This led many players to call it out as deceptive marketing. Therefore, whether MONGILSTARDIVE will be censored or not still remains as a mystery. But in my opinion, they won't, since they have already let us download most of the official art without any censorship, so it feels like it is a bit too late for them to pull back now, right? In summary, MONGILSTARDIVE has a lot of potential, especially the high quality story animation and how chubby their character is. Their combat also quite fun because even with the tag team or quick swap mechanic, all characters can swap so fast and present on the field at the same time, as if it is a real-time party mechanic. More importantly, it also has guaranteed banner that makes pulling for your favorite character and weapon much easier. So yep, don't forget to mark your calendars for the launch on April 15th. And make sure to pre-register using the link in the description below to grab those early rewards. Thank you for watching, see you next time, cheers!